Andre Rieu has sold over 40 million albums. He has outsold AC/DC, Bruce Springsteen, and Coldplay at the box office. He turned classical music into the most successful touring phenomenon on Earth. And at 76 years old, with a global empire, a medieval castle, and 5 decades of adoring audiences behind him, the thing that nearly broke him wasn't the critics. It wasn't the exhaustion. It wasn't even the physical collapse on a stage in Mexico. It was the silence. The same silence he was running from when all this started. Andre Leon Marie Nicolas Rieu was born on October 1st, 1949 in Maastricht, Netherlands, the third of 6 children, a musical household, but not a warm one. His father was a conductor of the Maastricht Symphony Orchestra. Andre showed early promise and began studying violin at just 5 years old, but growing up in a conductor's home meant growing up under pressure, precision, discipline. The cold formality of classical music enforced not just at the concert hall, but at the dinner table. He found his parents strict and moved away from his father's musical style in adulthood. That sentence quietly explains everything. Every waltz he ever conducted, every crying audience member he pulled to their feet. Every time he walked her grandmother onto stage to dance, that was Andre Rieu rewriting the childhood he had. He didn't just want to play music, he wanted to make people feel something his own upbringing rarely gave him. He studied violin at the Conservatoire Royal in Liège and at the Conservatorium Maastricht from 1968 to 1973. From 1974 to 1977, he attended the Music Academy in Brussels. He completed his training with the distinction Premier Prix from the Royal Conservatory of Brussels. Premier Prix, the highest distinction from one of the most prestigious conservatories in Europe. Then he did something unusual. He didn't take the path that honor was supposed to lead to. He didn't chase orchestral prestige. He didn't want to be a serious musician playing to serious people in serious concert halls. In 1978, he founded the Maastricht Salon Orchestra, small, informal, warm. The exact opposite of what classical training had shaped him for. Critics didn't know what to make of it. That was fine. Andre knew exactly what he was building. Before the orchestra, before the stadiums, before any of it, there was Marjorie. Andre married Marjorie Kochman in 1975. She was a language teacher, practical, organized, brilliant. And when Andre needed a manager for the company he was building, Marjorie offered to step in until he found one. 20 years later, she was still there and loving it. This is the woman who made it all possible, not in a supporting role in the engine room. Marjorie said, "I'll earn the money so you can follow your dream, to travel the world with your own orchestra." She taught languages to pay the bills while he rehearsed. She ran the business while he performed. She held the whole structure together while he became the face of it. Andre and Marjorie have been married for over 40 years. They have 2 sons, Mark and Pierre, and 5 grandchildren. Pierre now serves as vice president of Andre Rieu Productions. Mark is a painter. The family built something together and somehow kept it. In 1987, Andre founded the Johann Strauss Orchestra. Marjorie co-founded Andre Rieu Productions the same year. They started with 14 musicians and rehearsed for 6 months before a single performance. There were so many times when I was so discouraged I wanted to give up, Rieu admitted. Deep down inside, I was convinced that all this drudgery would eventually lead to something good. The first public concert was New Year's Day, 1988. From there, slowly and suddenly, everything changed. His 1995 album, From Holland with Love, exploded in Germany. His 1996 album, The Vienna I Love, topped charts across Europe and earned him the World Music Award in Monte Carlo. Stadiums started calling. The Johann Strauss Orchestra, which began with 12 musicians, grew to 43 permanent members, sometimes 50 on the biggest stages. It became the largest private orchestra in the world, and Andre Rieu became the highest-grossing classical artist in Billboard box score history. Not one of the highest, the highest. Here's where the story gets real, because success of that scale doesn't come without a price tag nobody talks about on the concert program. Rieu experienced what was described as long-term burnout in 2010, and again in 2012, brought on by years of relentless scheduling, international travel, and a never-ending operation. Around the same time, he began experiencing episodes of severe dizziness, the room spilling uncontrollably, a vestibular nerve condition that made standing on a stage generally dangerous. In late 2024, a concert in Mexico City were cancelled due to severe flu and fever, a reminder of what happens when a 76-year-old man manages 125 crew members, a 60-piece orchestra, and a touring schedule that would exhaust someone 30 years younger. His son Pierre said, "He take it 1 year at a time." That was not a throwaway comment. That's the son watching his father navigate the reality of age against the demands of an empire that never stops moving. And through it all, Marjorie is there. The woman who gave up her teaching career to fund his dream is now watching that dream exact its toll on the man she married at 25. Their relentless touring schedule placed real strain on their marriage, not because they stopped loving each other, but because the machine they built together consumed everything: time, energy, presence. Andre was always on a stage somewhere, Marjorie was always managing something, and the private life between the two of them kept getting pushed to the margins. Andre Rieu lives with Marjorie in a castle built in 1492 in his hometown of Maastricht. He visited that castle as a child for piano lessons and dreamed he would one day fill it with chandeliers and paintings and live in it. That dream is now reality. The boy who grew up in a strict conductor's household, now living in a 500-year-old castle. On paper, it looks like everything worked out perfectly. But what Andre has said in his more honest reviews tells a different story. The fear that his identity is inseparable from his ability to perform. That without the violin, without the stage, without the white bow tie and the adoring crowd, he doesn't know who he is. That's not a small fear, that's an existential one. And it's the kind of thing money and success cannot fix. He said, "The waltz is my way to express my positiveness, my way to bring humor to the world. You give yourself to me, and the waltz will grab you." But what happens when the waltz can no longer carry the weight of everything you put on it? At 73, Andre Rieu is still performing, still touring, still walking on the stages with the Stradivarius, and making people cry and dance and feel things they haven't felt in years. He has sold over 40 million albums. His Johann Strauss Orchestra remains the largest private orchestra in the world. He outsells major pop and rock acts at the box office consistently. But that legacy that matters most isn't the numbers, it's what he proved. He proved that classical music doesn't belong to the elite. It doesn't belong to formal concert halls and tuxedo audiences and people who already know the program notes by heart. It belongs to the grandmother who gets pulled onto a stage in Maastricht and dances a waltz in her Sunday best. It belongs to a factory worker in Brazil who didn't know he loved Strauss until Andre played him. It belongs to the child in the front row who hears a live orchestra for the first time and feels something move inside of them. That's the democratization of beauty, and no one has ever done it more effectively or more genuinely than Andre Rieu. The tragedy of his story isn't a diagnosis, it's something quieter and more universal. It's the cost of building something extraordinary. The years away from family, the body paying for the schedule, the fear of stillness from a man who's been moving for 50 years. The question every great artist eventually faces: who am I when the music stops? He doesn't have a clean answer to that yet, neither do we, but the music he made while searching for it changed millions of lives, and that counts for everything.